is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning and welcome to Guardian Radio AM. Today is Thursday, February 6th, and it's a little after 11 o'clock in the morning. Once again, this is C.A. Newry, and I shall be your host for today. Interesting conversation with Aaron Green today. Today, I talking about Trump. I talking about Donald J. Trump. I'm trying to make sure it's James. J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States. I'm not just talking about Trump in general. I'm talking about what I call Trumpism. Trumpism is the idea that the good President of the United States utters words, and that when he speaks, it causes ripples around the world. That our media, the local media here, has been soaked in Trumpism. His words, his utterances. And I want to talk about one or two of his utterances that he has given this week. One that I want to talk about is his mentioning of the Gaza Strip. Plan to take it all and make it American and tell the Palestinians they need to move. You saw that, Aaron? No?
I heard that.
Yeah. And when I first saw it, I said, no, you're spoofing the president again. Why are you all so anti-Trump that you gotta make fake news, man? Don't make fake news. There's a lot that Trump is saying that you could actually do. This is fake news. This is below you. And then someone sent me the link and I said, oh, God. That's one. Then I want to talk about Canada becoming the 51st state, right? It's a constant refrain that he throws out. I'm not sure if he's purposely trying to goad them, right? I want to talk about this supposed trade war having between Mexico and Canada, the former NAFTA people, right, in the United States. And now that there seems to be an agreement with Canada now where they say we can suspend all of this trade war. It ain't 25% no more. We can keep it on China and we'll keep it on Mexico, but Canada, we can hold off. And the last thing, I wasn't entertained. I got frustrated reading the commentary, right? And I said, man, Bahama's just idle. The conversation's about the Bahamas. There's rumor, man, Mr. Trump did not say this. Somebody put a spin there, then put the picture of the Bahamas there and said that the Bahamas, Trump is claiming that the Bahamas is going to be the 53rd state of the United States.
Utter foolishness.
I know it's utter foolishness.
We ain't even large enough for Walmart. How we could be large enough to be a state?
Maybe a territory then, like
I don't know.
Like Guam and like a Puerto Rico type thing. Protectorate. When senators say we're a protectorate of the United States now. But
hold on, which senator?
I forget his name.
They didn't fire him?
No.
Because technically we aren't, are we?
No, we're not a protectorate at all. But
I just wondering, does he know something we know?
He made a big speech about it. But this is what concerned me, and this is where the conversation is going to start, Aaron. Mm-hmm. There are Bahamians who said this is a good thing, that they would welcome the United States having control of the Bahamas. This is what the conversation is going to start off with, and hopefully I have people call in and give their viewpoint, whether they too think that, of course it's impossible, right? On whether you think it would be a good thing and why. Why would you believe the United States taking over the Bahamas would be a good thing? And I will explain why I don't think it's a good thing, right? But I want to hear from you, right? Who out there and say, man, it's something that we need to encourage. Again, I'll talk that we need to encourage and entertain of the possibilities. So I ask you, Aaron, would you mind being, in quotes, American? When I say American, I talk about American Bahamian being a territory of the United States.
Okay, so first of all, I'm already American.
You're already American?
Because I live in the Americas. Pause. I'm already American because I live
semantics. I see you
in
with
the
semantics.
Americas.
Yes.
The question of how would I feel about being a citizen of the United States of America?
Yes, we go into semantics and go with that name. Yes, how would you feel being a citizen or a protectorate or a territory of the United States of America?
The majority of my siblings are American, so I would be okay with that.
You'd be okay?
Because culturally, conceptually, I'd be okay with that, right? See, because I used to be in a minority. Yeah?
But you're the majority now.
I'm majority in the sense of race, majority black, right? I may be a majority in the sense of sex, right? Country majority female,
Yeah, 51% of you are.
right? But I am certainly I'm not a part of the majority.
What you mean?
Because I'm a queer person. I definitely make up a minority there.
But they say
A minority
the
in
activist
thought.
said that this government has been let me just let's move from there.
I never been in-
I thought it was a majority now.
I ain't never been in government, so I ain't part of that
he was
majority.
he was meaning you. Yeah, go ahead. Finish.
Right? And I think it would be easy for Bahamians to assume that national identity because culturally, many of us, we are American. Some of us even further than that, this thing called ontologicalness, right? Ontological whiteness is when you are so consumed by white culture that you forget that you're not white. Bahamians suffer a similar condition called ontological Americanness, where you're so consumed by American culture, American language, American music, and food that you could easily forget that you are not American.
So let me provoke you and evoke more response. Is it safe to say that mainstream American culture is a white culture? Now, mind you, there's all kind of different people in the United States. I acknowledge that. Everyone have their subcultures, whatever it is, right? But as a grouping, the main population is white, right? And they have, even though there might be different type of white groups, right? They all have
Or ethnic groups
grouping
within the category of whiteness.
Yes. They all have a commonality that they see themselves as. And this is where my concern comes in. Let's say we are absorbed into the United States. Wouldn't that white culture, American mainstream culture, overshadow our fragile culture that we try to preserve now?
It already is. It already is.
But see, imagine we being I hear that and I appreciate it. But imagine we being absorbed now. The conversation is about being absorbed, becoming a territory.
But the conversation is about being absorbed politically, and the point I'm making is we've already been absorbed culturally. So the political absorption wouldn't be difficult, right? See, I'm African in the Bahamas. I could still be African in the United States of America.
Just a minority African.
Right. That part doesn't change, but we've already been consumed by that culture. We are already at risk of losing our culture because of our refusal to acknowledge the power and capacity of cultural imperialism, the dangers of America. We only look at the benefits of it, right? Ease of travel, ease of doing business, and ease of movement of goods. But this proximity presents a danger. Not that Americans have a conspiracy to destroy Bahamian culture. It's on our end. The work is on our end. If I could reference the texter from the earlier show that said it seemed like we are abdicating our responsibility as Africans in Black History Month, right? Like in that context. The responsibility is on Bahamians to preserve Bahamian culture, right? See, here's the thing. If we took up the mantle and understood how important it was to preserve culture to pass on to future generations of Bahamians, we wouldn't be having this conversation. See, we're having a conversation about preserving national culture at a national level to protect or to preserve the identity of the Bahamas. But if we understood the value and importance of ensuring that our young people know these things, then this other conversation would be moot.
I have a number of callers on the line. The numbers are 323-6232, 325-4259. And of course, if you're calling from the Family Islands, it's 242-300-5720. Let's go to the first caller there, Kermit. Go ahead, caller. Good morning. This is Guardian Radio AM with CA Newry.
Good morning, Brother Newry.
Good morning.
And Miss Green, I hope you're doing well.
Good morning, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know where this funny idea came from.
Mm-hmm.
We are a sovereign, theocratic, democratic, independent state.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we go back to where we came out of a colony and go back to being another colony or a part of somebody else's territory? I think it is absurd to even have a discussion on this because we are 51 years, 6 months, and 27 days as an independent nation.
But, Professor, there are
Yes.
Bahamians who are willing to give that up. They said they don't want to be independent no more.
Who said that?
There's a whole entire discussion now circulating on social media.
You know, some people.
Okay, all right. Now, who is doing the discussion?
I call them idle people.
Oh, idle people.
I call them idle people. But they the conversation.
Okay, all right. Well, if they're idle, well, then I think it is something we have to dismiss. Because we got to concentrate on building a nation.
Mm-hmm.
Our forefathers didn't fight for us to become a territory of the United States. It would be foolish. Everything that we have worked hard for, Brother Newry and Miss Green, would go down the drain. We can't go that way.
What were the benefits? Some people listed better laws and infrastructure, better hospital, better checks and balances. This is something that they crave so much that they're willing to give up their sovereignty.
Listen, okay, I'm glad you mentioned that. God says in the Bible, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. We have been making bad decisions in choosing the wrong set of people to run our country 51 years, 6 months, and 27 days. The crux of the problem is we have, let me leave that word out. We have some people who have been running our national affairs not according to the Constitution. We have a very powerful document that can solve all, along with the Holy Bible, all of our national problems, all of our constituency problems. God is able to protect the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, not the United States Army, Navy, and Air Force. We can have relations with them as long as it is biblically sound, as long as it is constitutionally sound, as long as it is legally sound. Then we're on the right track. You get that, Brother Green?
Yes, man, I definitely get that.
Yeah. Oh, Miss Green, I'm sorry.
No, it's no problem.
No problem. I had to answer.
No
What's your show?
problem. Don't watch nothing. That's small things. Here's a question. Here's a question, though, sir.
Anyhow, I appreciate you letting me express my view on it, and thank you very much.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Professor. Thank you.
All the best.
All right. I wanted to ask the professor, maybe you call back. It's okay. And also, I need you to know, no offense taken, Professor. Don't watch nothing. Sometimes I be throwing these blows like I think I's a man. Don't watch nothing. We do, though, face a potential situation in the relatively short term, right? Which is if scientific predictions of sea level rise are true, and significant portions of the Commonwealth will be covered by water and uninhabitable in the near future, say 50 to 100 years, right? There need to move people. So a similar dynamic, not that we become a protectorate or a territory or a state of another federal body, right? Could Canada have the same kind of system? But that we will have to relocate our citizens to other territories, right? And so then the need to preserve culture then arises again, right? Like, what if we have no choice in where we are? What if we have to leave these rocks because of sea level rise, right? Then preserving culture. And have we thought about how we would do that, both at the sort of personal and social level, community level, but also at a national level, right? Have we created a platform, a protocol, a dialogue, the language to speak to other nations and say, hey, all of us will be climate refugees. We need a safe place to go, but we want to ensure that those that we go and become a part of understand the urgency and the importance of preserving our culture. Because even though the islands no longer exist in that way, we, the people, still exist. Our history still exists. Our experience still exists. And the contributions we've made to other countries still exist. So how do we preserve that in what would be an entirely new dispensation?
How do we preserve that? Yesterday I came across a post also. For the post. I'm happy for the post and then became concerned about the post. I'm going to read it to have you comment on it, right? It's a post about a Bahamian delegation going to Miami. It says, a Bahamian delegation led by the Minister Leon Lundy is in the city of Miramar for a special donation for public safety vehicles to support law enforcement. And joining delegations are Parliament Secretary Kingsley Smith, Commissioner of Police Shanta Knowles, Deputy Commissioner of Police Kirkwood Andrews, and Miramar Chief of Police Delrish Morse, who proudly has Bahamian roots. This partnership strengthens the bond between Miramar and the Bahamas, enhancing public safety and community development. I saw that, and I thought about the fire engines. And I wonder, when they said public safety vehicles, and I see Shanta Knowles, the Commissioner of Shanta Knowles and Deputy Commissioner, and I wonder, are they going to beg for fire engines? Or are we going to get more police cars to police our people? And when we speak about independence and when you speak about nationhood, the professor mentioned that and said we need to develop our nation. But when Bahamians see that we're short, that Long Island has no fire truck, Acklandstone doesn't have no fire truck, Mayaguana, Crooked Island, and we go through the whole San Salvador and go straight up, does not have a fire truck, and that we in Miramar, Florida now, the city of Miramar, begging, soliciting, being granted, negotiating for safety vehicles, whatever that means. And you wonder if they're going to get a fire truck, perhaps becoming a 51st state, perhaps becoming a territory of the United States, perhaps becoming a protectorate. Could I finally get a fire truck?
Could we do that but not include the people who were responsible for getting the fire truck? Like, if we become the 51st state but we leave them set somewhere else, like Trump said he could deport American citizens. We can't deport Bahamians. I'm just saying, that's what I would like to say. I would like to say, listen, to the people of Miramar, to the administrators that are a part of this exchange, right? Whether it's just a cultural exchange, whether we actually receive safety vehicles, I would like to say thank you for your continued support.
Yeah. The mayor is of Bahamian descent.
Right. And on that note, please send them people back home. Send them home.
Who people?
The people Bahamians who are there to receive free things.
The Parliament Secretary?
Send them all home until they could explain to us why they were unable to budget for these things. That's it. Send them home. We appreciate. Send them home with the truck, but don't give them the key. Send them home with the truck. Don't give them the key. Send the key in the mail.
So with Honorable Leon, safety vehicles is not a good thing?
No, it's not a good thing. We'd like to say thank you to the people of Miramar for understanding our situation and making themselves available
that we fire truckless
to help us resolve this problem. But somebody in New Providence needs to explain how is it that we seem to have a lack of fire trucks in an archipelago, but yet nobody could tell us what the Golden Jubilee celebration costs.
What if we get one of those armored vehicles again? Can we celebrate that at least?
You mean like a tank, like when the Chinese donated military equipment? And then one of the tanks was taken to Abaco for the opening of Maxwell's, the food store, one of them tanks? That's the type of tank you're talking about?
Well, the tank don't get to be used, a big thing.
They didn't use it then either, but it's okay. Yeah. The point is that it's great, this relationship that Bahamians in the diaspora seek to support us. That's awesome. Send the people home so they could explain to us, the people, why their paycheck hasn't stopped, their perks haven't stopped, Their parties haven't stopped. Their celebrations haven't stopped. Their demands that we commemorate their successes, if we could, I don't know where they are, haven't stopped. Right? But they can't figure out how to budget for fire trucks. You see the story about the blaze in Grand Bahama with the farm that is located next to the new fire station? When I read that quote from the woman who said she's pleased that she's pleased that it appears that they have finally gotten permission to purchase parts to repair the 5 fire trucks during Dorian and are apparently still sitting in the fire station. Somebody needs to come home and explain to us how that could happen. And somebody needs to explain why somebody trying to embarrass Fred Mitchell. Because I heard Fred Mitchell say that he is certain that they have fire truck because the people tell him they've never been without the capacity to fight fire.
They've never been without the capacity to fight fire. They used to borrow the airport one. And they used to borrow the private port one.
You know the person who said that trying to shame Fred Mitchell? Who caused Fred Mitchell to say that foolishness?
I'm just saying that they have access to it.
No, they don't have access to it.
So when the fire come, they didn't send the airport fire truck there?
No, they didn't. Actually, not to the fire at the farm.
Who was the senior police officer?
The lady indicated that when she called, they told her that the fire truck that is supposed to be dedicated to the airport is actively fighting a fire in a subdivision. I don't have a problem with that, I have a problem with politicians suggesting that we should celebrate them for doing a horrible job. See, that's why citizens don't understand that a D is not satisfactory and we in big problems.
Before we pivot, every major family island has an officer in charge. Who was the officer in charge of Grand Bahama when we was lacking a fire truck?
I don't know. I could be honest with you. I don't know the answer. I could presume, I could speculate, I could make a good guess, I could even crack a joke. But before I do all of that, I have to tell you, I actually cannot say that with 1,000% certainty.
I know an officer from Grand Bahama to be commissioner of police. I only could wonder, because they would have some explanation of being in charge of an island without no fire truck. But let's pivot. Yesterday, was it yesterday? Yesterday. I'm certain it's yesterday. The President of the United States made a comment while speaking openly with the Prime Minister of Israel. How you pronounce it? How you pronounce it? Yahoo. Now, how you pronounce his name, Aaron?
I like that you don't know how to say it.
Yahoo.
Because I wish I didn't know how to say it.
Netanyahu.
Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu.
Yes. Do you speak all kind of foreign language?
It's what part is hard to pronounce?
The Hebrew part?
No, the terrorist part.
But you can't be calling the Prime
The
Minister.
genocide part.
You can't be calling the Prime Minister, though.
No, I mean of who? The Bahamas? No.
No. I talk
Because he's
about
not.
of Netanyahu person.
Let me
Can't be
tell you
calling-
something. I stand with the people of Israel.
Yes.
The people of Israel who were in the street on October 6th, the day before the Hamas, the hundreds of thousands of Israelis who were standing in their own country protesting Netanyahu.
They still protesting? I know that's going to shut the country down if they're serious.
I get scared. That you would have it.
Yeah.
Look at God.
Yeah, that's really
the country did shut down.
Okay.
The next day.
The President of the United States, in my words, summarized that in the future, he hopes to take over the Gaza Strip, to relocate the people, the Palestinians, find them a good place to live. And
The Bahamas.
Well, why not? And Americanize the Gaza Strip. And mind you,
Mr. Mitchell-
the commentary I'm saying about this is, because I'm not sure if the president was joking or if he's just saying it for saying sake, right? Or if there's a sincere plan or not. And Mike think, how should the world react? And who controls speech in terms of he twitters or tweets, or what the next name for it? Twitter now.
X.
He X's, right?
You get plenty of X's.
yeah, there you go again. He tweets, right, all kind of things. And then said, surely there is some type of protocol to say, no, Mr. President, you cannot say that. Stick to the script. This is what you say. This is what you read.
You don't remember number 45.
Yeah, I remember 45 is funny.
If you remember 45, you wouldn't be shocked by 47.
Yeah. But
Yes,
you
obviously,
think they're similar?
the world should
45 and 47 similar, you think?
But they obviously not the same number.
Not to see him. They're not to see him president.
Yes, the world should be very concerned. But what type of talk is that?
What type of talk is it?
That you gonna go to see? At least Netanyahu is their neighbor, right? That's like me and my neighbor fighting over the mangoes on the limb, the tree in his yard, the limb hang over in my yard, and he ready to go to war with me for the mangoes hanging over in my yard, which technically are mine. The only way he could get to those mangoes is if he climbed the tree and climbed down the branch, holding on to the tree, and grab the mangoes. Me and him could row all day about mango. I'll watch him take 1 or 2 mango off the tree and cuss him and then go back inside my house and mind my business, But let somebody from Lightfoot Key
Cross the pond
come my neighborhood
and fly over and say they
and talk about I shall determine who the mangoes belong to.
and send my military to do it. Let's go to the caller there, producer. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to Guardian Radio AM.
Hey, good morning, Aaron, and good morning, Mr. Newry.
Morning.
Mr. Newry, you was talking about who is, I guess, making sure that Mr. President stick to script. But like Aaron said, if you remember 45, you shouldn't be surprised by 47, because 45 said that was so much words to read, you didn't have that. Okay? So this is why he put, notice none of them are really long. He ain't got all them, he ain't got time for that. That's too much words. Just saying.
Thank you very much, caller. And I hope you can listen right now. Aaron, I always assume,
Yeah.
I always just say, Mr. Trump didn't write that. It sounds like him, but I believe they hired somebody to say, sound like him, and just say pronouncements.
You mean like a clone?
Not necessarily a clone, no. Your job is to pretend you was Mr. Trump.
To pretend he's Mr. Trump? You mean,
And
hold on,
just say
wait. On the internet or like
On the
at the
internet.
podium?
No, I talk about when you on Twitter. I don't believe the president of the United States have time. Our prime minister, despite they have his name, prime minister of the Bahamas.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Bahamas. Remember that sign?
I'm not even sure when he got right honorable, but that's something different altogether.
Minister knows, because ministers say sometimes you go in left and then you just got to go right.
Yes. So I sincerely believe that someone is hired to just post these things and then just wait to see what the population says.
Yeah.
I don't believe say these.
So listen, there's an interesting text here. It says, the world should take everything he says as if he's volatile enough to attempt it. They took Hitler's talk for light and look what happened. Apparently he was serious about German nationalism and a perfect white race. Hitler, that is. See, here's my thing. Don't take it lightly. Whatever it is he says, you need to interrogate it. But here's the thing. There's this thing that people are calling Trump derangement syndrome, right?
Trumpism.
They're making fun of people who are upset about Trump's prominence in American and now global politics, right? They say these people are irrational about Trump. But here's the thing. Whatever he says, you need to interrogate it. And you need to take it and whittle it down to common sense. Right? Whittle it down to common sense. Trump made an outrageous statement about how, before the election, how they given aliens sex changes in the prison.
My God.
But I say, hold on, people coming from Mars, getting locked up at the border and getting sex change in the prison. That's not what he meant. What he meant was that migrants, documented and undocumented, within the system have access to gender affirming services. That may not, that's probably not sex changes at all, right? It may be access to a psychiatrist. It may be access to the hormone therapy that they were on before they left their country, right? So it sounded like the most absolute foolery when he said it. Aliens in the prison getting sex changes. Oh gosh, that's how he speaks. Be compassionate enough to understand that no matter what he says, we need to get to the validity of what of what's underneath there and examine it and whittle it down to what is common sense.
There is a teacher at SAC, Terrence Pratt. Is an English teacher, literature teacher.
Yeah.
In a post I saw, and I smiled. He mentioned that anyone who's following the United States election governance, the pronouncements, need to read 1984, right? And he's encouraging students around the Bahamas to do that and talk about dystopian government and how it starts and whatever it is. And I wonder, the number of people, and I see you call it, coming to you right now, a number of people is suggesting, is this the beginning? Is this the beginning of the dystopian America? And I said, man, you're being extremist, man. There's checks and balance inside that country. There are people who oppose, and these things play out, and eventually it rectifies itself.
Okay, so watch this. I thought I had the same question, right? And I thought, okay, things are looking a little slippery slide. You see, as a queer person, I already on the fringe. Y'all don't see what vulnerable people see, right? Because vulnerable people are vulnerable all the time. Y'all just getting a glimpse of vulnerability. So from that perspective, I've always been concerned. But it wasn't when Musk became a prominent part of Trump's campaign. It wasn't when I realized that Musk was actually on the inauguration stage with Trump. It wasn't then. It wasn't when Musk did the Heil Hitler that I was concerned. It was when people attempted to tell me that Musk wasn't doing the Heil Hitler, he was doing the Roman salute. That's when I became deathly afraid.
Explain.
So people are saying, no, y'all have it wrong. This is not Nazism. This is not fascism. That was not the Hitler salute. That was the Roman salute, and we've seen a number of Democrats do it as well. So y'all are obviously just trying to destroy Trump and embarrass Musk. This is a bunch of foolishness. What concerned me is that people so quickly forgot who the Romans were. Did, right? And that the Roman salute was adopted by Hitler, and y'all think it doesn't matter. That we have lost sense of time, sense of self, sense of location in history. That concerns me greatly.
I like that. Let's go to the callers here, Aaron. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM.
Hello.
Hello.
Morning.
Good morning, Ms. Green, and good morning, Mr. Newry.
Morning.
Some statements made, hey, Mr. Newry, the thing is, I'm not agreeing with everything Trump is displaying, given the fact that as the world trembles, it is geopolitical vagaries and theatrics and just purism, right? It's nothing. It's new for them, but it will cause a geopolitical fallout. Better economic, social, et cetera, et cetera. It reverberates because of its uncertainties. But like I listened to Line the other day, I didn't get a chance to call. But Line can't explain it too. Not because he is a veto and something is signed. He has the legal infrastructure or framework to do what he wants. So let's bear that in mind. But I wanted to touch on the fact that with science, right? It's the fair fact. Some scientists actually believe in God but the fact that they're always predicting the sea level rise to be this, and they're predicting this catastrophic event, and they've forgotten that God has promised us that He would not flood us again. But I'm not saying that it won't happen, but it won't be because of climate change. You don't never hear the narrative that Aaron knows about, planetary shift or orbital deviations. And so where water was, it will always go again. And so the fact that our islands have emerged out of the sea, why is it that you're telling me that in 50 years we'll be under the sea, when one could simply go on Google, that doesn't lie, but they lied during the pandemic, and they can say that, you could go to Google, right, and then you could do the research yourself, and let's look at when scientists make mistakes, or chronologically when scientists were wrong. And they were wrong about a number of things. They were wrong about geocentrism, species saltation, biogenesis, eugenics, racist theories. Paul Ehrlich was wrong about the population bomb. Thomas Malthus was wrong about how the world's starving and running out of food, et cetera, et cetera. But I listen to C.A. Newry, but the thing is, we don't like to listen to one another and fact-check things. So I spoke years ago about Technocracy Incorporated and Technocracy Inc., and it was started in the basement of Columbia University in about 1937 by Martin Scott and M. King Hubbard. And I said one of the reasons for this was to to datify and quantify the Earth's resources, all right, and collect this to their advantage. And so people don't realize that today. So as technology advanced with the invent of the resistors and transistors and be able to store data even from back then, they're being using it to enrich themselves. And so this is nothing new. So the fact that you could go and point out, and they're always forgetting God in the picture, and then you could also Google the limitations of science. You know, so and technology, and so technology has been advancing so fast that legislation on a geopolitical scale has not been able to keep up with it. And so when one come on the air and talk sense, and people don't know it, it's frightening for me, even as people call themselves educated. So on with a lady from the United Nations, right? She doesn't know what I know or the history of the United Nations, et cetera, et cetera. So she didn't comment on the pandemic treaty, the intrusion. I spoke about totalitarianism, but she leaned on the side of the evilist globalists and giving rise and excuses for them to lock down countries. But she didn't give me a chance to mention the fact that there's nothing wrong with doing that. But please give me the scientific evidence to prove it's beneficial, because we were told all lies during the pandemic. And that's why. Why is it that Joe Biden pardoned Dr. Fauci? We didn't have a scientific ombudsman on the human race behalf to argue that the science was incorrect, it was being suppressed, et cetera, et cetera. They took away the scientific method. I mean, you know, this is ridiculous. I didn't learn this thing by myself, man. People helped me, and I appreciate all of the doctors who stood with humanity amongst all of this BS.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stu. Let's go quickly to the next caller there, producer. Go ahead, caller. Thank you for calling Guided Radio.
Yeah, I always like to hear 52's talk as a transhumanist. You know, and for those who don't know, someone who believes that using science and technology to improve the human condition is an inevitable coming about, the same as data. He's absolute about concern with the use of data. You only have to look up the condition. The initials MIMA, who then became the NGSA, the National Geospatial Agency, one of the largest spy agencies that nobody knew existed. But that's the story.
Repeat the second acronym.
The National Geospatial Agency. In 2003, they became the National Geospatial Agency. They're the ones that map the world. They're the one that the United States Intelligence Agency depends on to say where everything is, to read your license plate, to do all those good things.
And they said who still wouldn't resize the continent of Africa properly?
Yeah, well, they were the ones who did it. What happens is mainstream media is the one who see, understand this. When you begin to understand Silicon Valley and develop in the United States, the U.S. government developed technologies and allow its corporate entities to exploit the technology for the advancement and development of the country. That's how Silicon Valley and other places were born. It's the same thing that they're having a fight right now for technological quantum data and digital supremacy that's going on right now. And that's why I'm going to say, I don't know about President 45, but I know President the President
47
of the Bahamas 47 probably will be the greatest
President of the Bahamas.
thing that happened to the Bahamas in the 21st century. Should be awake
Okay,
to the possibilities.
pause, man.
Alan, I appreciate you.
Don't hang up yet. Don't hang up yet.
No, I ain't hanging up. I have a question to ask you now.
Yes.
It's something you talked about, the technology, right? And the current war going on. Business Outlook, we had both the charge d'affaires and the ambassador from China both made presentations at the event. Will the Bahamas survive globally if we side with the U.S., or do we need to move with where the advanced technology is?
Well, the question is that where do you depend on feeding? Let's go back to a question you asked when Doug Manchester, the San Diego developer, who the 45th president of the United States, Trump, nominated to become the U.S. ambassador at the Senate hearing, says that for all intents and purposes, the Bahamas is a protectorate of the United States. So it's a fact that can't be argued. We could argue in our pride that we're not. But when he says, look at what the president of the Coast Guard, Department of Homeland Security, and other officers in the Bahamas that provides absolute utilization of their services and technologies for us. We are a protectorate when you look at the word protectorate, whether it's deemed officially or not. 85% of our revenue comes from the United States. And so getting technology doesn't mean anything, especially for the fact that we barely know how to use 20th century technology, not less 21st technologies. Now, the 21st century technology has evolved from the physical to the non-tangible. And so the fact is that we're still looking for devices in our hands and other things. And even for when you hear the government of the Bahamas says, we have our own cloud services. We like to reinvent the wheel. So maybe we take the circular wheel and make square wheels to see if it still works and functions. But technocracy that 52 speaks of is a real thing. And so in the fact that we're even talking about ourselves as being 53rd state or whatever, the fact is that we have already been colonized in our minds from the north, where China is simply looking for us as simply nothing more than a global dominance. And so if nothing would be more feasible to China, just like the debate they're having for Panama Canal, the China taking possession of both ends of the canal with strategic ports, it would be for them to be within 60 miles of the border. Some would argue in Grand Bahama that they are 60 miles right off. They just have not been able to develop it to the point that they want to.
Okay, I appreciate that. We're going to take a quick break right now. Before then, I would like to say that Kalik, the Bear of the Bahamas, is inviting you to join us at the new Village Pub, Grove Holiday, Tropics Lounge, Palm Tree Delight, Prime Time Lounge, and the Pond for the big game. Buy a bucket of Kalik and get 2 shots of Jose Cuervo all game day. Kalik reminds you to drink responsible, babe. Oh, we'll be right back.
Boy, you know what's going down tomorrow?
No, boy, what happening?
Joe bringing these knives to school. He could do Junior in.
For what?
Boy, he fooled with Joe girl.
Mother sick. And you know Junior don't back down for nothing. So that means you got a big fight tomorrow.
So whose side you on?
Side? I trying to stay in school, not Simpson Pen. We gotta tell somebody about this fight.
Tell somebody. I ain't no snitch. I mean cool, you know.
Boy, if you so cool, then you need to stay in school and stay out of the fight.
Yeah, but if I don't hang on Joe's side, him and these boys coming for me next.
All right, so we definitely gotta tell somebody. We gotta prevent the fight.
What I say, I don't want nobody call me snitch.
We could just call Crime Stoppers. You could report what you know, and nobody gotta know it's you.
So how did I boy?
All you gotta do is call them, or you text them through the Crack Crime Bahamas app, and nobody can know it's you.
Then the police come looking for me for more info, and when they finish with them, Joe them coming looking for me?
When you call Crime Stoppers, the calls go directly to me, and they don't ask nothing about you. Then you can get the pen from them, and they can claim a reward later using that same pen.
Plus, everything's scrambled, so nobody can read what you're saying.
Call 328-8477 or 300-8477 from the Family Islands.
Just sign in and have a seat, please. They'll call you in for your x-ray shortly.
That's why they call it a waiting room. You won't have that problem at Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor. We never schedule multiple appointments, so you'll be in and out in no time. And if your initial screening reveals a concern, our radiologist can conduct an alternative screening right then and there. Call 328-8157 to schedule an appointment at Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor today.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
You try to rest, roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Alpha Sounds Promotion presents Back to Love, an unforgettable evening of smooth R&B vibes and cherished memories. Join us at the Nassau Cruise Port on Saturday, February 15th for a spectacular all-white affair featuring live performances by soul sensations Freddie Jackson,
Hey everybody, it's Freddie Jackson. I'm coming to Nassau, Bahamas, and we are looking forward to the night of love.
Regina Bell, Also featuring Bahamas' very own Essence Band. Back to Love. Saturday, February 15th. It's a spectacular all-white affair at the Nassau Cruise Port. Get tickets online. BahamasEtickets.com. Plantation Bar and Grill. Big Boys Cafe. And Tropics Bar and Grill. For more info, contact 822-6863.
And I hope to see you there.
And welcome back to Guardian Radio AM. I would like to say happy birthday to Miss Olivia Bino. Her birthday is today. I think she is 28. So I'd just like to say happy birthday to her. I know she's to work. Also, I'm just going to read this because I see the lines are full still and we have a number of texts. Let me speed through this. Click. The Bear of the Bahamas invites you to Victory Fest 2025. Join us on Saturday, March 1st at the Smugglers Square for an epic celebration of the 2024 Boxing Day and the 2025 New Year's Day Junkanoo winners, the Shell Saxon Superstars. The Junkanoo season may be over, but the celebration is just getting started. Enjoy music by Playhouse DJs, Lil Giant, DJ Tank, and performing live, Fanshawe and D-Mac. Let's celebrate the 4 straight Junkanoo winners, Saxon's Superstars. So let's go to the caller quickly. And I want to talk about El Salvador. Say they'll take all the Americans that Mr. President Trump wants to deport. They said they'll take all. El Salvador said they'll take them today. Just hire them. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to Guardian Radio Air.
Well, good morning, CA. Good morning. And is that Aaron?
That's Aaron.
Good morning.
Yes. Well, El Salvador can afford it. In 2017, they listened to us on Guardian, and by 21, they accepted Bitcoin nationally. And they made a killing from $3,000 to almost $100,000 a coin. That was a very good move for them. So they have a little extra money. And so now they're going to turn a business of housing criminals. It's always been a business. But we had a lot of good callers today. And as I said, long time, looks like it's a battle for the Bahamas between the U.S. and China. Isn't that funny? And C. Allen said that we mapped off everything on the planet and blah, blah, blah. Have we used these maps to determine the value of this country? Has anybody done a forensic audit on the value of the Bahamas? Think about fish. How many snapper you got? With scales on, they're worth at least $2, eh? Is it 1 million snappers or 1 billion? Only God knows what you got. See, once you know the value of you, CA, and you, Aaron, and the people listening, once you know your value, nobody can sell you out to go make a bed and serve a drink. You're royalty. There's only a few of us. So El Salvador is moving into a business. And I think the western side of Grand Bahama that's not controlled by the port, after 50 years of 2 different parties, should have been a metropolis. That should have been the first carbon-neutral crypto-smart city in the hemisphere. That's from the north to the South Pole. And if it had started maybe 5-10 years ago, it would have been the most modern city in the hemisphere. Can you see it? Can you two see it? Can the people listening to me see it? Instead, West End looks like how Columbus left it. So let's fix the Bahamas. You all have a good day looking at the clock. You should bring those callers on today, take their names and numbers, along with myself, and let's have a week of intellectual, common sense fixes for the Bahamas. See y'all later.
Thank you very much, Graham. This seems to be a trade war, right? I see that the U.S. charging or suggesting that they're going to charge China only 10% and contrast to Canada 25% and Mexico 25%. Why China is so low? Right, I see there's some deal that Canada has done recently with United States where they say they suspend that, and the Mexicans are pending. They said they will respond shortly. Right, I want to know how does this utterances impact, especially the Bahamas, especially when they say they deport Americans, and like I said, deport them where? Deport them to who? Who could take American? And what are they talking about with Guantanamo Bay?
Okay, so you reference Guantanamo Bay, El Salvador, and now Guatemala. El Salvador and Guatemala have responded to Trump and said Guatemala gives Rubio a second deportation deal for migrants being sent home from the U.S., right? I think these are two countries that signed the the Summit of America's 2022 LA Migrant Declaration. So in fact, they could just be following through with things they agreed to do under the Biden administration. When it comes to Guantanamo Bay was always a part of the migrant declaration plan, right? What they indicated was that Guantanamo Bay does not have the capacity to hold as many migrants as would be needed. And so that they're calling on other countries within the region of the Americas to take in these citizens. I'm very troubled by it. These are problematic things. See, first of all, it's poor, it's mediocre and petty. When I say petty, I mean like poor, like poorly performing politicians that created a state that resulted in undocumented migration. Something that was deemed unlawful is now deemed illegal, like a crime, like a criminal act. What is the world that we're living in where migration is a criminal act? That's the first thing. The second thing is, how are you sending people to countries that they're not from? What if they don't speak the language of the country that you sent them to?
And especially when you say you're a citizen, something is wrong.
So I'm telling you that makes me feel very uncomfortable because it makes me think about how it was an intentional strategy to divorce Africans in enslavement from their languages. Yeah?
Let's squeeze this caller in. I just want to remind you that Big Brother is always watching, and then you can read these texts. Go ahead, caller. We could squeeze you in, then we're going straight to the text line. Call Green one.
Green, how you doing?
Good, thank you, sir.
Wonderful. Aaron Green, you said that 85% of our imports and stuff come from the Americas. Yes, I agree with you. What's the difference if we fold in another 15 or 20% and become an active part of the United States system? And for those who are saying that we are sovereign,
Marvin Johnson, you think my great great grandfather was selling chick Chinese to American tourists for us to become an American state?
Man, watch what you talk about them chick Chinese. That is behaving. I mean, the benefits of it. I know I hear about the arguments about sovereignty, but the benefit of me outweigh the certain things with the conditions with being $13 billion in debt and all of these and can't control our borders, all the corruption and the crime. I think the benefit outweighs the sides. We are not financially sovereign. The Canadians own us anyway. All of their banks are here. The borrower is slave to the lender. In case for those of them who don't know, from the 1800s, Britain gave Canada the go-ahead to put our banks here in order to quote-unquote own the Bahamas anyway.
I'm just saying, but hold on. Before we decide to become a territory, a protectorate, another state of the United States, have we tried asking the Davis administration how much money they spend on the Golden Jubilee? I have a feeling like if we get the answer to that, we could solve all of our problems, Mr. Johnson.
I know how much money he spent on that BMO. It's $250,000. I know how much for that, and I know the fact that we've been eating chicken in the hospital for 3 weeks.
What type of chicken?
They ain't paying their bills.
What type of chicken you been eating?
Baked chicken.
Spring chicken or Cornish hen?
I don't know what kind of chicken, but
they cook it differently, right?
One day they slice it, one day they bake it, one day they fry it, the next day they fry, bake. I've been eating because the company ain't paying their bills. So we got to do something. You understand? We overrun. We just start the next thing. Can't collect the garbage. None of that. All about getting locked up in the States. All high officials. You might as well fold in another 20%, man.
Listen, Mr. Johnson, in the words of Jimmy the Greek, woman, every day, flesh, every day, flesh. Every day, flesh, someday, man want chicken. Man want chicken.
I like chicken. I have curry chicken, baked chicken, fried chicken.
Rest in peace, Jimmy the Greek.
Steamed chicken. I like chicken.
Rest in peace, Uncle.
This has been Guardian Radio AM. Thank you very much, Aaron Green. My name is C.A. Newry. Have a wonderful day.
Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streamradio.com, and the Guardian Radio app. Nassau, Bahamas.